is this something where the Jets are going to live to regret this? Because you've opened the door. It's a done deal. The only way you could trick this off, apparently, is if you don't make any of these moves happen. I would think, I mean, they're already, according to Blue Check Boy Schefter, they're working on signing former Packers. You know, they're working on Lazard already, right? So they're working on Lazard already. But when it comes to Randall Cobb, Mercedes Lewis, and Odell, like, all right, well, it looks like they're going to get Lazard. So we'll take him off the board. He's in the fold. If you're the Jets, you really have to get Randall Cobb. And if you're going to go Randall Cobb, at whom's expense are you going to cut or jettison? You can only have so many wide receivers. This is 3 receivers and a tight end. You want, like Aaron Rodgers is saying, I would like you to acquire them. It's not just saying target and acquire. Target and acquire. I mean, if I'm the Jets, I tell them, yeah, we talked to Randall Cobb. We couldn't make it work, but, you know, we'll holler at Odell because, I mean, that's a move. The Odell thing is a move. But I don't know why, if you are the Jets, you feel like you have to get all 4 of these guys to go get Aaron Rodgers. They're already going to pay you. They're already giving you a roster that is made to win. Something you've been, you know, whether subliminally or indirectly or maybe even directly years ago, you've been begging the Packers to do. The Jets have enough weapons on offense and defense to where all they need is you. They're a QB away. But are they a QB, Allen Lazard, Mercedes Lewis, Randall Cobb, and OBJ away? That might be where you're asking a little bit too much. Now, again, this is player empowerment. Or is it player entitlement? Why is Aaron Rodgers not being taken to task? Lamar's just asking for money. Aaron Rodgers is trying to be an executive. Like Tom Brady, when he got this off, he brought in Antonio Brown, got Gronk to come out of retirement, and convinced Leonard Fournette to come pull up. All 3 of those guys still had a lot left in terms of what they could bring as actual football players. So I could understand Tampa Bay bending to the will of Tom Brady because those 3 players contributed majorly. Those 3 players contributed in a major way towards their success. You want me to bring in Randall Cobb? Mercedes Lewis? Allen Lazard? You can fool yourself into thinking that's a sneaky move. And Odell, high risk, high reward. I don't think that much of a high risk, but on paper, high risk, high reward. But you want me to go bring in Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis? That's just bringing a man's in them. I'll hire them as coaches. You want them to be part of your entourage, like, that's fine. But to take up actual roster spots, I don't know if I'm willing to do that. I don't know if I'm willing to give up 2 spots on my 53 for Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis. At this juncture, I don't know how I could do that. I don't know how I could do that. Like, seriously, like, is there anyone who feels that Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis actually can contribute something football-wise, not just make Aaron happy? We know that's really what it is. Bring my guys along with me because he's probably under the impression if I go here, we are winning a chip. So if that's the case, let me bring my boys with me and we could all win a chip. Let's all get one last ring and then we could ride off together in the sunset, right? But let me look up Randall Cobb. Okay, let's go back to the screen here. Randall Cobb. I mean, dog. I mean, is this really what you want me to give up a spot on my 53 for someone with 50 targets last year, 1 touchdown? Like, I mean, I just don't see it. I understand why it's a power play. All of this is a power play. That's why I'm saying, like, this is player empowerment. Or, as I was asking on my podcast, the DCMD podcast a couple of episodes ago, is this player entitlement? Which is it? There's a difference between empowerment and entitlement. At this stage in his career, Aaron Rodgers is using entitlement. I am entitled to go to a contender. I am entitled to be paid handsomely. I am entitled to force a team to sign all my boys no matter where I go. That's entitlement. Now, there are some that will position it and say that's empowerment, that teams are acquiescing this and giving them that power, a la the NBA. I'm under the impression that this is entitlement. You want me to give up a spot on my 53 for Randall Cobb? That's entitlement. You know, let's go ahead and look up Mercedes. Mercedes Lewis. I mean, dog, like this guy, all these games as a tight end, and he was never a burner to begin with. He's just a humongous target. 6 receptions the entire year, 17 games. He started 17 games, 6 receptions. I'm supposed to give up a spot on my 53 for that? I don't know, man. Like, that's asking a lot. Odell, I understand that. That, to me, I actually like that. I actually think Odell has a lot left, and I think he can fit in that system where he's not being asked to be the guy anymore. I think he played well with the Rams, you know, playing off of Cooper Kupp, even though I still think he was a more dangerous weapon at that time. But, you know, I still think he has enough left to be a weapon in this offense to where him and Rodgers can really cook something up. Those two together could be lethal. But you want me to give up a spot on my 53 man to a guy who caught 6 passes in 17 games last year, and your man's in them, who also didn't fare that much better. Got 50 targets the whole year and didn't even play the whole year. We love talking about guys not playing the whole year in terms of Lamar, but Randall Cobb only played 13 games, and yet Aaron Rodgers is out here manipulating or, you know, player empowerment, or more likely player entitlement, trying to get the Jets to go ahead and sign his man's Randall Cobb just to get his own services. And this is where, if we really take a look at this, what Aaron Rodgers are you getting? And again, we understand he was coming off 2 MVP seasons. So, you know, obviously there's a lot there in theory, on paper. But with everything else that comes with it, you know, he went on with his man's McAfee today and said, you know, there's nothing to announce yet. Because in theory, he's waiting for all his mans to pull up. He's waiting for all this to happen. He's waiting for all of this to happen. And it's interesting how the narratives work. Aaron Rodgers is able to not only get paid $58 million and now bring that $58 million that the Packers were committing to him and bring it to New York, allegedly, and have that deal magically restructured to where he's still going to get his money, but the Jets are going to move it around, backload it, defer it, whatever, convert this to a bonus, whatever. Like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to Lamar, there's capologists whose main job is to figure out how to make this money work. There is a whole job, a whole staff, a whole department geared towards, here's the contract we're going to sign this player to, make it make sense for us financially in the short term and the long term. That's their job. So the fact that the Jets, who have been trimming salary all last week into this week, cutting players, restructuring deals to open up the cap space to be able to absorb the contract of Aaron Rodgers, that's fine. Go all in. That Super Bowl was a long time ago. But I get it. I understand. Back-to-back MVPs no more than 2-3 years ago. I understand. But this part here, not only do I have to pay you and cut players to bring you in, to get the salary enough to bring you in, now I have to potentially cut people on my 53 man. I got to bring in Randall Cobb. I got to bring in Mercedes Lewis, who, again, I just showed it. He played every single game and started every single game and got 6 catches, 6 receptions in 17 games. I got to give up a spot on my 53 man for that. Not only do I got to cut all these players to make the salary work and then still give up compensation to the Packers, now I got to go get Randall Cobb, who doesn't have anything left, Allen Lazard, who you can argue can be a third or fourth receiver, Mercedes Lewis, who had 6 catches in 17 games, and Odell, which is a high risk, high reward. type move. So I got to do all of this and trim the fat on all these contracts to make it work and give up compensation for the Packers. I got to do all of this for what, maybe a 2-year window? This is not what Tom Brady did. There's a lot of people that are comparing this to what Tom Brady was able to do in Tampa. This is not that. Tom Brady had players ready-made. Antonio Brown was still him. The nonsense off the field is whatever. He was still him when they brought in AB. Gronk was Gronk. I don't know if Gronk is still Gronk, but back then Gronk was still Gronk. He was still top tier, still unguardable, still a monster on 3rd and long. And then he convinced Leonard Fournette to come and pull up as a free agent. And he was able to move the chains and give him exactly what he needed as a running back to grind out the clock. Those were 3 players that were still competent and at a high enough level to justify, all right, Tom, you think these are the guys? Cool. You have Aaron Rodgers really trying to convince Joe Douglas that he needs Mercedes Lewis in 2023? How'd that conversation go? Randall Cobb is still a thing in 2023? How does that conversation go? Lazard, you can get that off. You can talk about his blocking in the run game, so on and so forth. You can, especially that the Jets are allegedly going to more of a zone run blocking scheme. Alan Lazard is tailor-made for that. He's one of the better blocking receivers in the league, right? So you can get that off from a scheme perspective in terms of why he's advocating for Alan Lazard. And Odell is Odell, playmaker. But Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis, nah, dog, nah. You are not convincing me that's what's necessary to bring Aaron Rodgers. That's not going to seal the deal. If it ain't the 58 M's, if it ain't the players that are already here on offense and defense, if it ain't a potential AFC East that is, I'm not going to say it's wide open, but you can't really sit here and say the Bills are still the class of that division. The Patriots are I think it's a wrap for them, right? So it's a 3 teams in that division who all feel they have a chance. The Dolphins are out here making moves, going to go get Jalen Ramsey. You know, they go get Chubb in season. Now they go get Jalen Ramsey. They're trying to figure it out. They extend Tua for another year. They bring back Raheem Mostert. Like they're trying to make it happen. Your man Cheetah is out here beating a bunch of plumbers in the 60-meter. It's all happening. The Dolphins are going for it. And the Bills, with Josh Allen coming off a bum elbow, they had to restructure Von Miller's contract. They've lost some players in free agency. The AFC East potentially is open. It's open if the Jets want it and if Aaron Rodgers wants it. But if he only wants it, if all of his friends in them can join him, I want to see the media take him to task. Keep that same energy. Because so far, I'm not feeling a lot of the same energy towards Aaron Rodgers. He's skating. He's getting paid $58 to $60 million already. All the talk of how this is just a game, this is a children's game, and players are greedy. I haven't heard not one person with a blue check jump out here and say this is egregious of Aaron Rodgers. This is greedy. All the same tropes I'm hearing about other quarterbacks in their contract demands. I'm not hearing that same type of energy when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, because not only is Aaron Rodgers saying, I'm going to get my money regardless. I'm getting my 58 M's, right? So now you need to figure out, restructure whatever deals, cut whoever, backload whatever contracts to make it work. I'm coming with my 58 M's. That's a non-starter. Now, go give the Packers whatever compensation they want. Now, not only do you have to do all of that, but now I want you to go bring a tight end in that only caught 6 passes in 17 games and go bring in one of my best friends who is a mid receiver, if mid is generous at this point in his career. Go bring in a wide receiver who's more known for his blocking than his catching. And then go bring in Odell, who's coming off a couple of leg surgeries. And then I still may decide to stay in Green Bay. If you don't do all that, I can hold all of that over your head and still just go back and collect that 58 M's in Green Bay. Because they ain't like Green Bay's not going to accept him back. Mark Murphy's already said, if the deal doesn't work out, then, we'll figure it out. If the deal doesn't work out like we want it to, we spoke about this on Friday's live stream. If the deal doesn't work out like they want it to, we'll work with Aaron to figure it out. This is what's happening here. Where is the energy? I'm having a hard time understanding how come Aaron Rodgers is able to demand so much from a team that he has no allegiance to, in the New York Jets, and they're just bending over backwards to make it happen. But other quarterbacks are asking just to pay me. I ain't even asking you to bring in Odell, even though Odell would be the best receiver I've ever had if I'm Lamar. I'm not even asking you to do all that. I'm just saying pay me. If you want me to run around here with no help, at least pay me to do so. But Aaron Rodgers wants to get paid well, go to a top-tier team with young elite talent, and bring in all my old head friends and Odell. Clearly, they're trying to make this happen. Clearly, they are trying to go all in to make this work for Aaron Rodgers. Who leaves? If you're the Jets, are you really going to get rid of Elijah Moore? Is that really where we're going at this point? Because you're bringing in Lazard. He wants Randall Cobb and OBJ. That's 3 receivers. Who are you giving up that's currently on this roster if you are the Jets? How bad do you want Aaron Rodgers? What are you willing to give up? As if the compensation to the Packers isn't enough, as if cutting all the players to make the money work wasn't enough. Now you have to go and bring in all of his boys. How much is enough? Joe Douglas did all this to get this young top-tier talent, and now he's going to have to jettison some of it just to get Aaron Rodgers? I don't understand. Let's go to the comments. Appreciate you, Tanya. Thank you for tapping in. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know what the Jets do here. I don't know why this is becoming a thing where I understand bending over backwards for a former, multiple-time MVP. What he won 4 MVPs or whatever. Like, I understand all of that. One-time Super Bowl champ. I get it. But you've put yourself in a position to have all these young players on rookie contracts, and you're going to jettison that for Aaron Rodgers and his mans? Again, OBJ, I could see that. Allen Lazard, I think that's a mid move. But having to go potentially bring on Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis on top of that, to me, that's where I draw the line. To me, that's where I'm like, all right, man, like either you want to be here or not. Do you want to be here or not? Because at some point, enough has to be enough. If I'm the Jets and I have to get rid of Elijah Moore, who you could make a case for is one of those talented receivers that could benefit from playing with Aaron Rodgers. We've seen Aaron Rodgers make a lot of young receivers, like we saw last year with all the young talented receivers at the end of the year, how they were finally starting to cook with him. The Jets already have a bunch of those already. You're going to cut or trade or probably just demote some of those guys on the depth chart to bring in Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, Mercedes Lewis? It couldn't be me. I understand I understand it's a 2-year window. It's a 2-year window where you have to where he's still, you would assume, be at the apex of his powers to be able to coincide with all these young, talented players on both sides of the ball to be able to capitalize off of that. I get it. So it's a very small window here to make this work. But if I have to pay you your 58 M's, I have to then give up draft compensation to the Packers. I have to trade, cut, restructure deals just to bring in your salary alone. Now I have to create more cap space to bring in all your guys. But Lamar should not get what he wants. Okay, here we go. Okay, what I'm hearing on Aaron Rodgers, it's a strong feeling still that he will be a Jet. It is not done yet. Still working through some things, nothing finalized, and Green Bay still needs official word from Rodgers. Some Jets players have been frustrated about the process dragging out. Well, wouldn't you know it? What a shock that, Jets players, give me sauces out here burning cheese heads, thinking, all right, it's only a matter of a couple of days. And nah, that cheese head just sitting in the grill all charred up and still no Aaron Rodgers. And again, they can do all of this and Aaron Rodgers can still go run it back in Green Bay. That's the funniest thing about this, is that as much as there's been so many assumptions of done deal, only a matter of time, only a matter of hours, the Jets can move. They can move everything, which they're in the midst of doing in terms of moving money around, moving contracts around, moving players around. They can go out there and go sign Allen Lazard. They already have Nathaniel Hackett. They could go out here and go get Mercedes Lewis and Randall Cobb. They could even go out there and go get Odell. And Aaron Rodgers could still say, I just want to make sure my guys were in a better situation than I am. I'm going to go ahead and stay in Green Bay and just collect this 58 M's. I'm just go ahead and just ride this out. He could even retire. There's been all types. He literally is, and that's what to me is player entitlement. It's player entitlement because he is holding the Jets hostage. I mentioned it last week here on this stream. He's holding the Jets hostage. This is a stick up for Aaron Rodgers. He is sticking up Woody Johnson and the entire New York Jets organization. Come fly out to see me. Come do all this. Come bring in all my boys. Come do all of this. No one says anything about how egregious this is for someone one of his caliber, for one of his stature, for one of his standing in the league and just historically. No one's saying anything. At least Tom Brady was bringing in dudes that still had a lot left to give. AB was still top tier when he brought him in. Gronk was still top tier when he brought him in. Fournette was still more than respectable when he brought him in. Mercedes Lewis? Randall Cobb? Yeah, if I was a Jet, I would feel frustrated too. And I'm not even talking about Zach Wilson. I could care less about Zach Wilson. I care less about his feelings. But in regards to if I'm the players that might get cut, if I'm Elijah Moore, I want to know what the hell's going on. You want to bring in 3 receivers with you? We got receivers already. You don't see the talent we have here? We just need to be able to get Zach Wilson. Mike White took himself out and moved on. We just need a better QB. But you want to bring yourself and all your receivers with you? You got help already here. We just need you to be you. Ayahuasca be damned. But so I would also feel frustrated if I was a Jets receiver. I think some Jets players, I think that really should say some Jets receivers have been frustrated about the process dragging out. Because if you're any other offensive player, what do you care? I mean, I guess if you're Zach Wilson, but who cares about that? Like, who else would really care? You think all them running backs they got care? No. Like, who else would care? I mean, I guess who they have at they have CJ Uzuma. Maybe CJ Uzuma cares because he might be losing his job to Mercedes Lewis. But outside of that, like, why else? Who else would care? Tyler Conklin? I think he left, right? So I mean, who else would really care? You know, Denzel Mims, is Denzel Mims concerned? He probably should be. Like, if we're really taking a look at who's on this Jets, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, we know he ain't going nowhere. Garrett Wilson is him. Corey Davis? Like, who do you have to get rid of? If you're a Jet fan and you're trying to bring in Aaron Rodgers and he wants to bring in 3 new receivers, okay, which 3 are you getting rid of? Denzel Mims? Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore? Is it that easy to just get rid of those 3? Are you sure you're upgrading? If it's at the cost of bringing in Aaron Rodgers, but to bring in Aaron Rodgers, you have to accept less caliber receivers than what you see here on this screen. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? To me, these are real conversations. Because if I have to lose Elijah Moore, not saying he's a game breaker. Again, let's be clear. The main star is Garrett Wilson. He ain't going nowhere. So now it's, okay, can Aaron Rodgers make Elijah Woodson into something? Can Corey Davis become something with Aaron Rodgers? Can Denzel Mims become something with Aaron Rodgers? We know Jeff Smith is gone. Baxter Berrios is gone. James Robinson is gone. There's a lot of guys gone. Mike White gone. So there's a lot of people gone already. So who are these players that are frustrated with the process dragging? Maybe Tyler Conklin. Maybe CJ Uzuma. We know it's not Garrett Wilson, but if I'm Elijah Moore, I'm worried. Because Odell comes in, Odell's opposite Garrett Wilson. There's your X and Y right there. Now, Elijah Moore as a slot, I'm not mad at that. But then if you just gave 44 M's to Allen Lazard, now does that make Allen Lazard the slot? Now I'm Elijah Moore. I went from a number 2 receiver to now a 4th receiver. And then with Randall Cobb got to get some snaps. So if I'm Elijah Moore, am I even getting on the field? I'm only playing during Hail Marys, lateral drills, practice squad, scout team. So I think if this happens, you have to look at Elijah Moore and think, oh, he might be the odd man out. Elijah Moore, with all this Jet stuff, might be the odd man out. Let's see if there's anything else we can unearth here real quick. Because, I mean, there's certainly a lot of Jets fans that have been out there like, yo, whatever he wants, go get him. Because, if you want to focus on what Lazard is, if you really want to break down the skill set of Allen Lazard, he's probably, in terms of is he an upgrade over Corey Davis? Yes. Is he an upgrade over Elijah Moore? That part, I don't know. I think Allen Lazard is probably better, for sure better at certain things than Corey Davis. I think Elijah Moore, that's where it gets a little dicey. Oh, his report. Don't know how accurate it is, but we'll see. Per Josina Anderson, Jets will not be trading Elijah Moore. Okay, well now who? Okay, well now let's see. How does this work now? If we're to believe that. So Wilson, Moore, Berrios is gone already. So now it's Corey Davis. Corey Davis now looks to be expendable. So if you're keeping Elijah Moore, and you're definitely for sure not getting rid of Garrett Wilson, now that appears to be what it is. So now we're all looking at Corey Davis. Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, OBJ. So then that means Corey Davis, I'm good, love, enjoy. Denzel Mims, I'm good, love, enjoy. Got to get them up out of there because Jeff Smith's already gone. Berrios is already gone. So now you're like, okay, so now Corey Davis. So now it comes down to you can't really compare Elijah Moore to Allen Lazard because I think that was more of I would go with Elijah Moore. But I think if you're talking about Allen Lazard or Corey Davis, I think that's an upgrade. But that Randall Cobb, if I'm Denzel Mims, I would feel away.